here tonight. I'm going to go from start to finish anyway, just for those who haven't used it completely. But as I said last night, if there's any questions, chuck them straight in the chat there, and we'll try and answer that for you straight away. Again, if I jump off the screen and you don't know what I'm talking about, just make sure you yell at me as well. But this builds on what we were doing yesterday. So obviously we use this account. We looked at all the profile features. We looked at the season management side of things. Now we're looking at the actual race management. So as I said last night, you've got the option of coming down the side here. You've got the checkered flag, which is your race management from there, or you can click it from your main profile here. So if I click on that, and also you can click on it if you're in your season and you've got your upcoming events there. So this is the 22nd. I can click on that account, on that show. You can see all the details there. So if you need to change your hot laps times or whatever that might be, you can do that here. And down the bottom, you'll see that there's a race management button that you can click on. That will just open it in a new window. So there's a few different ways that you can actually get to the race management screen. So once you're in race management, obviously you've got these options here. We'll work our way through those. Up the top here, if you realize you're on the wrong event, you can actually click on it. And those of you who were here last night, you can see that there's those events that I set up yesterday as well. So they're all there. You can go ahead and do those if you need to. We'll just focus on this one. So this is the setup screen. We obviously set this yesterday and we said, yeah, we've got 14 sprint cars here. We've got junior sedans of both top stars and new stars running. So those are those classes there. If something happens and you actually need to add a race class on race night, again, you've got the ability to add your class there. Any divisions that you've got saved within your account will be there, and you can add those on that night if you need to. We've got two parts on this main screen here. So first one is our pill option. Now, if you're going to use MRP to do your lineups, you're probably going to need to, and you want to, use it to actually create them, you'll need to assign a pill draw. So there's a few different ways you can do that. You've got the at check-in one. So this is when we're entering our entries in. That means that the drivers will be selected in there. Once you put the drivers in, a pill number is going to be automatically generated for them. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You can do a manual one. So for example, if you had a bingo ball thing that you wanted to run and you can enter it in yourself there, you've got that option. Or you've got the after checking one, so I can set up my drivers there, and if you want them to come and press a button or something, you can just go and purchase one of the ones that USBs into a computer with a big red button. We've used one that was a big enter key and the drivers hit that. So if you've got drivers that are, grumble at what the pill draw looks like, you've got the option to set those up there. You can also use this to max or minimum your pill draw. So for example, if you knew 100% that you had 22 drivers at the track, you could change that maximum pill to 22 and it would order at 1 to 22. Generally, when I'm using it, we might have, say 27 sprint cars nominated, but on the night, maybe only 26 rock up. So what we found easier is actually to keep it in this 1 to 100. And it will just sort them in that order. So someone might draw pill 1, you might have 7, 14, 15, 16, 87, 93, and so on. So it'll sort them in a pill draw order either way. The other option is if you want to do your own draws, or you've got a club that does their own grid draws and just sends them through to you, you can actually click this no pill draw option. And that'll mean that you can just automatically create your grids yourself just by manually entering them in, which I'll show you a bit later. But that's the basics of those pill draws there. On the right-hand side here as well, we've got the option of having the transponders or not. So if, for example, your track isn't running transponders on any given night, you don't actually have to have them in there. We can just do a whole lot of manual stuff. MRP is still able to be used under those conditions. But obviously, if you're using the timing through the Orbit system, for example, you can have your transponders in here. We put them in and we're all good to go. That's pretty much the basis of this one. You can see the same setup. It doesn't have to be the same for each division. So if I wanted to do a auto draw with the pill button here for the sprint cars, but then when I do the new stars, for example, I want them to just I want to have it already set, I can do that. So you've got the ability to change all those. Any changes, and you just hit down the bottom, save changes. So that's pretty much the basic setup screen, just for that first part. I'm going to skip over the MRP Live and I'm going to come back to that one, but we'll move on to the entries list here. So it's going to automatically take you to the first one on your list. This is what your entry screen will look at. You can see up the top here, I've got the 14 sprint cars. I've also got it there so you can see what we're looking at. You can see the pill setting is actually listed up the top there as well. Now, we've got a couple of different ways that this list can be populated. This list here is populated by people that have raced at your track before in this division. So if I knew, for example, that BJ Barstool was coming, I could click on him and it's going to come up with this screen. You've got the number that they've been using there. Now, if, for example, they're running a different number, you know, number one might be BJ's actual number, but for some reason they're running a different car or whatever, you can literally just highlight it and click off it. Now, if that becomes his new default number, you can, once you've clicked off it, you'll be able to reactivate that there. But I can keep it at 01. This is the pill draw option I was talking about. Now you can see it's on a 0. If you remember, I had the 14 sprint cars set up at that pill draw on entry, so I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Owner, if you're doing payouts and things like that. Transponder number. So what's really cool is, for example, if BJ had his own transponder, I can click on it and you can see all the recent one he's used, but hey, I know that this is actually his one, so it's saved in there. So it works whether you've got the higher transponders or if they've got their own one there. If on the night, BJ, we know he wants to go rear for all of his heats, we can do that one. Or if he's going for the rear just for the heats, he's going to take his position in the feature. So that might be, for example, if someone's nominated late and the penalty is that they go rear field for the heats, you can include that. Or if it's someone that maybe is a brand new rookie and you want them to be at the rear all night regardless of how they go, you can select that option. And you can see here again, if they've claimed their profile, you've got a bit of information here. So once you're happy with all that, you just hit add and you can see that he's been added in there. So again, if I want to add Billy Bedrock, same sort of thing. See the pill draw there. I'm just going to select a transponder. He's fine. Add that in. So that's if they've raced at your track before. Now, there's also the option of, last night we set up the nominations through the MRP so the competitors can actually come and nominate. What you can do here on this My Competitors button, you can actually click on pre-entries. And if people have pre-entered, as in nominated, they'll come up in that list. So it's just a case of quickly clicking through rather than searching through on this option. As I said last night as well, this list is populated across accounts if they've been linked. So for example, if I had a series that was setting up their nominations, whatever they put in here, as long as I've linked it to my track here, those nominations are going to come up there as well. So again, it gives you the opportunity if you're working with different series and they want different things, you can set it up however they need to. So again, it's quite simple just to do that. Click on your transponder number or type your number in there, whatever that might be, and add them in. Now, if you've got someone that you want to enter in that has never raced at your track before, so you want to find out if they've actually got a MRP profile, you can click this search button. So I know we used James McFadden a lot last night. So if I click with that, pop his name in, you can see his account comes up there. If I clicked on that, it just comes up with the warning saying, hey, this is the first time they've entered into this track. Are you sure it's right? I'll hit yes, it's correct. And then that other screen will come up with their car number. You can assign the transponder and so on. So if they've already got that MRP account, you've got the ability to be able to add them in there. The other thing that may happen is you might get someone that's brand new that doesn't have an account. So if I went Wilma Flintstone, for example. Oop, didn't even spell that right. You can see that it's come up, there's no account saying that, so I can hit the create new button and this is what's going to come up. And all you need to enter is their first name, their last name, the suffix. So, for example, if it's Wilmer Flintstone Jr. or the third or something like that, the hometown. So you can say Bedrock in United States. I don't know what state they're in, but for example, if let's say that they're Australian, correct it to she's from New South Wales. Just ticking that, saying, yep, that's fine. We know that we're creating it, and you hit saving. What will happen is that that'll come up again, and you just accept it. The only thing that will happen is if sometimes if there's a name that's very similar, for example, if you put in Ash Johnson instead of Ashley Johnson, a warning screen might come up just to make sure that you're not creating a profile for a new competitor that already exists. So it's got built in there that if there's two names that are quite similar, it might just give you that extra warning screen at that point in time. So that's how you're going to add your drivers in. I'll just add a few more in. Is there any questions on that part so far? I can't see the chat or anything at this point. So if there's anything there, Braggsy, let me know.
Yeah, just
on that. Oh, sorry.
No, you go, Danny. It's fine.
I was just noticing, just stop there for a sec there, Scott. See the payment amount of that? Do you put anything in there?
See, sorry, I missed that payment amount. Oh, that's if you wanted to pay them a particular amount. Austin, can you just confirm that for me?
Is that to pay them, is it?
That's so I'll be honest with you, that's in there really for two networks that are large series in the States here that wanted to track entry payments through the program. So they do their nominations a little bit differently. It's basically just entry payment at the racetrack. So they're basically tracking that. You can use that for whatever you want. I mean, it really is just kind of a fill text box. So if you wanted to track entry payments this way or, something like that, you definitely could. However, yeah, we really built it with Lucas Oil 8 models and USMTS in mind.
Righto, no worries. Thank you.
Yep. And then there was one question in the chat about the prefix numbers, V8 instead of 8V, that kind of a deal. Dakota, Scott, Mike, I know that you guys had all done a ton of work on that. Can you kind of let them know where you're at with that one?
So we put the prefix. So, for example, here in Western Australia, I might put the W in front of it just because that seems to be what we do in Australia, generally speaking. So W for WA or T for Tasmania and so on. The thing about this is obviously if I was going to enter in the same number, so for example, if I was going to enter in the number 3, it won't let me do that because you can't have two car numbers that are exactly the same. So if you've got that, obviously maybe I know some states might do it this way. For whatever we're doing, we would probably do it that way. But again, that's however you want to manage that at your series level or your track level. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, so in short, Milo, yes, it has been, the prefix can go in front or behind now.
Yeah. And the same thing applies if I was going to put the same transponder number in. So for example, you can see I gave this guy 1007. If I go to enter in the same transponder number there, maybe I'm allocating my hired transponders and I want to add that in, it actually comes up with the error saying, hey, that's already taken, so you can't enter that in. So the system knows, what you've already allocated. So this way you can avoid number double ups and you can avoid transponder number double ups as well. I don't think I've missed anything on that bit. So I'll just add these last couple of guys in.
Sorry, mate, just another one there. So when you put them in there, say you got them in the pre-list and then you click on them and you're putting them in there, isn't there somewhere there where you can check and make sure that they're right and they're paid? Or
yeah, so if you've done your pre-entries and you put a price on the pre-entries, they would have had to have paid for that nomination to come through.
Right.
So
if they're there, they've paid. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you've set a price to it, that's my understanding. Austin, do you just want to confirm that I'm right there?
Yeah. So go and throw another entry in once.
Oops.
Just click on any of them, doesn't matter which one. On the left-hand side of this screen, there's a confirmed memberships area. So he's got event registration in there as well for round 3. So that's another visual indicator that you can use that'll show you, hey, they did fill in the nomination for the round 3. They filled out that registration. So if your payment is tied to that registration, that's an indicator that they have indeed paid. If they didn't fill out the registration, they didn't nominate, that confirmed memberships will be empty. Therefore, they have not paid. To my understanding, that doesn't really happen over there. But yeah, so the payment will come through the nomination, and in this screen, you'll be able to use that visual indication right there on the left to show you that they have indeed filled in that form.
Okay. I know I'll keep harping on about this membership thing, but it's a big issue for us. So yeah.
That's right.
No, I totally understand. I'm hopeful that all the work that we put into it here on this side of the world makes it pretty darn usable over there. We've made some changes to make it usable over there, and I think we're pretty darn close to what it needs to be. So if there's some issue or there's some roadblock for you that you don't think it's usable for you because of one little issue, like, let's work together and figure out what that is, because we think we've got it pretty darn close.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no, it'll be just my lack of brain power is what it'll be. It won't be you guys for sure. But anyway, thanks for that.
Cool. Kate, you got your hand up? Do you have one?
Yeah, my husband Scott does.
Yeah. Hi, I'm the other Scott. Just on this membership thing. So, for example, we charge an annual membership to our races that includes free nominations to events. Is there scope in that membership for us to capture that somehow and then still charge other drivers while giving them, so other drivers that aren't members, charge them, say, $20 to nominate, where our members get their free nomination? Is there something in there that will allow us to do that?
Dakota, you might know more than I on this, but I think that we're putting something new in there for promo codes that really might be the ticket for you here, to where folks who have the annual registration filled in can be sent a promo code. Dakota, do you know where we're at on that in terms of getting that across the finish line?
I guess that could potentially be an answer there. I'm actually not sure this moment as I'm catching up from Knoxville. But more likely an answer is just that you would have your yearly registration, which is one registration there, and then you would use an event specific registration for the non users. So yes, there'd be a way to make that work with a little bit of playing around a little bit, but it wouldn't take a lot to make that work by any stretch. So.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd be able to work with you there, Scott, and work out. There's probably a couple of different ways we could make it work, and just try and work out a way that fits you best. And
that sounds good. It's just we're looking to obviously get more out of MRP moving forward around using it for our managing our memberships and pit entries and all that sort of stuff. So get as much out of the product as we can. Obviously, we're paying for it, and the intent was that it'd free up a bit of admin for our volunteers. So anything that can help in that space, I think, is definitely a positive for us over here in Australia as well, and on the West Coast.
Well, absolutely. Like I say, reach out after this if you want. We can set up a meeting, and we can sort of share screen and just show all the different options and go through and have a bit of a play and work in the sandbox and see what makes sense.
Yeah, we're in the same boat here in Queensland too. We want to use it. We want to use it more than we have been using it, and we want to track our season memberships as well as our nominations for the races. So yeah, we want to do the same thing. So basically, all of the financial stuff goes through MRP. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's all doable. There's lots of reporting we can do there, and sort of at the click of the button, you should have all the financial reports that you need then and there.
Yeah, no, that's right. Well, and that's generally the reason why we didn't fully utilize the system last season. Because I'm just repeating myself here, I know, but is because the financials weren't set up. But now that they are, we want to use it to the maximum. Yeah, same as the guys in WA.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely. All right, I'll keep going with this bit, and then if there's still more questions, we can come back to those as well. I was talking before about drivers coming up for a pill draw. So say these are my 12 cars. You can see you've got the number of entries up here that automatically updates. And I'll just point out I've got them sorted by last name at this point, and I'll come back and change that for you because hopefully that'll answer the rest of your question there, Milo. So at the moment, say BJ Barstool comes up, and so this is my way of checking he's here. He's come up to press the buzzer. So I'm going to click on this button. Now, did that other screen come up there?
No.
No? All right, I must be sharing the wrong bit. Standby caller. I want that one. All right. So if I click on the pill draw number there we go. An extra button will come up. Now, as I said, you can have the buzzer connected there. You can get them to click this with the mouse, however you want to do it. He's come up with 83. You can hit close and you can see that his pill draw number is now there. So you can do that with each of the drivers as they come through. You know, so whatever order it is. And obviously I've got this set from 1 to 100, but this is their actual pill draw. Now, obviously, as I said, I've got it sorted by last name at the moment. So say they're my first ones that have come through. I do have the ability. I've just chucked a few prefixes in there, so I couldn't think of the word I wanted. So we've got the option to sort by number, and you can obviously the ones without the prefix will come through first, but you can see it's sort of N, the V, and the W, and they're in order there. So I'm hoping that answers that question about the prefix and puts them in order there. The other thing I have the ability to do is put them in order of pill draw number. Now, if you haven't actually finished doing all your pill draw numbers, it's taking a second to do. Why is that not sorting that? It will actually sort those for you. So I think my computer's a little bit slow at the moment, but it will put them in the order of the pill draw number for you as well. And the ones that haven't had the pill draw number done are able to will go to the top there. The other thing, as I said before, you can actually put a manual entry in there if you want to, for whatever reason, if that's what if you're using a bingo thing. But I'll just hit close on that. Just add these last couple. So again, this is the way we do this with the sprint cars at the Motorplex is when they come through scrutineering, the driver has to come and sign in anyway. So they sign in, they hit the button at the same time, and that way we know that they're there ready to go for the evening. So that's my pill draw number done there. So that's, and I've already, if I want to do my new stuff, oops, just make sure I save that. Those numbers as well, those pill draw numbers come up on the app. So if people want to go pretty much straight away, so if people want to go on, they see how the pill draw numbers go, they can go to the nominations and they'll be able to see what pill draw number they've got. And you can see I've got that sorted in the pill draw number order as well. So same with our other ones. Now with our new stars, when I grabbed them in, I've already populated that list and I had it automatic. So I'll just show you. Obviously, I set this up a different way. So if I was having Brock Racing here, you can see as soon as I clicked on his number, the number that's randomly been assigned to him is already there. So I don't have to go through that pill draw process with it. So you've got a few different ways to be able to set your grids up there. So we covered the setup, we covered the entries. Now we're going to move on to the races part. Oh, sorry, one other thing I did forget to say. Down the bottom there, if you're, for example, running, say it's a 2-night show and you know you're going to have the exact same cars showing up from the previous night, you can actually click this import from previous race button, and you can see here that I'd be able to click that, import it, and you can even include all the transponder numbers that they've had as well. So that's a really quick way to import it rather than clicking each person if you need to do that. All right, so races tab. this is where you're actually setting up what your events are going to be. So just like I just said in the entries list, you can see here we've got a whole heap, or the list of the last few setups that I've done. So for example, if my format is the same each week, rather than entering each race in, I can go, yep, I know that we're running one hot lap session, one qualifying session, 2 heats and no feature. I can click on that and it's going to bring them in for me. So I just hit copy and they'll come in. So that's a bit of a time saver, particularly if you're running the same events each time. What we've got here, this is where you're going to set up. So for my sprint cars, if I know that I'm going to start with hot laps and I'm going to have 2 of those, they're each going to have 2 laps. Then I know they're going to go straight into qualifying and it's just going to be 1 run. They're all running in that together. Then I know that they're going to split into 2 heats of 8 laps. And then we're going to go straight into our feature race. Now with the feature race, it's really important that you choose the A there. Obviously, if you've got B feature, you would select B and C and so on. But generally speaking, if you're just running that one feature, you've got the A feature there. All right, one of those 20 laps. So I'm checking all those. You can add in who's going to tech there or how many cars going to tech if you desire. Okay. And then I'm just going to hit add. Whoops. So I can just add that there. And what happens is all those races come up here. Now, one of the things we have got is a sponsor value add. So if you had, Bill's Painting Services that sponsors your hot laps for sprint cars every week, you can actually pop that in there. That's something that appears on the app and it's going to be a value add for them. And you've got the ability to do that throughout all of it. Basically, so that's your hot laps there. Now you're qualifying. So for example, we've just got one there. So I'm going to say they're not going, none of them are going straight from the qualifying to the feature. They're going to go into the heats. So I'm just going to change that to all. But you do have the option, if you were going to go straight from qualifying to a feature or for whatever format you're running, you've got the ability to be able to set that up. From here, you've got your heat races. Now we know that everyone from our heat races, so from that group, this is going on a generic Australian format, by the way, here. They'll all go to the feature and all those lineups are there. Need to adjust the laps, add the sponsors, you can do all that sort of thing in here. So if that's the format my sprint cars are running, but I'm going to run something different with my new stars, I might do, for example, they're not going to do hot laps. They're just going to do 3 heats of 8 laps and a feature. And I'm going to show you a couple of different lineups for that in a minute. So just do that at this point in time. Again, I've got my heat 1, heat 2, heat 3. If I wanted to do per race, so for example, if you were going the top 4 from each race are going to qualify through, you would do the 4 per race. What I'm going to do though is from the group, they're all going there because we've only got 12 cars, so they're all going to make the feature. So that's all lined up there. So this is where you can set up, for example, if I had a B main here, it'd say how many do you want to go the A? So I might say the top 16 and then the rest to the B with 4 transferring. You'd be able to add those options in as well. Does that make sense on the races point part? Is there any questions on there? All right, looks like everyone's pretty good there.
That's
So I'll skip straight into the lineups part. So I'll show you a couple of different lineups. I'll start with our sprint cars. So we did the pill draw for our lineups there, for our hot lap groups. So all we're going to do is you're going to hit this calculate lineups button. We can do our hot laps from the pill draw, and we've got the ability to line up from staggered. So staggered, if I hit calculate, it'll automatically assign it there. And you can actually click on this button up here and that'll tell you how it was calculated. So because we chose staggered, you can see that the lowest pill draw went to hot lap 1, second lowest to pill draw 2, 3, 4, and it goes back and forth. So the hot laps 1's got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 pill draws, and hot laps 2 has got that. So if there's any questions about how things are calculated, you've got the ability to show that. If you would rather use it a different way, You can come, so my lineups is populated by what you set up in your actual account. So you can have your favorite one set there, or you have the ability to come here. So for example, if I wanted to do it non-staggered, I could choose that. And that would, if I click on here, you can see that it's now picked the first 6 numbers and then the second 6. So you can do staggered or non-staggered, however, excuse me, however you want to do that. That's our hot laps. Then we've got our qualifying one. So I'm going to use the same thing because we've done our pill draw. They're all in one group. So if I hit calculate on that, you can see that that's the order that they're going to come out and do their qualifying in. Again, if people have got the question, you can click how is it calculated. There's those there. So if I was going to create my heat races from the qualifying order, I'll come to that one in a minute. Just because we're going to import it into MRP and we'll show you what that looks like. So we'll just say that we've got our hot lap and our qualifying groups for the sprint car sorted. For our new stars, we've got a couple of different options here. So I know I've got 12 of them. If I want to do, we've got a few different options here. Now I haven't added these in. These are all the lineups we've got available. So this is something that we'd encourage you to have a look at. You can go and play with them in the sandbox that we showed you yesterday and see what each of them does. We've got the options here. So I've just got to find the right ones. First thing is if your new stars are running 3 heats and all drivers are going to be in all 3 heats, you're going to click on this one and hit calculate. And what you'll see is we've got our format in there. So every driver's in every heat and the positions will generally add up to the same or within one of each other, and they should have an inside and an outside position. Right, so you can see that the 6 has got a 1, a 7 and a 12. So a total of 20. And then the 1 has got a 2, an 8 and then a 10, which is also a total of 20. So the field, the total of their positions will all add up. So it's all nice and even. If you wanted to do a different format, for example, we've got the 2 of 3. Oops, where have I lost that? Oh, there we go. You've got the AU3 heat grid. So this is where drivers compete of 2 of the 3 heats. You can hit that, hit calculate, and you can see now each driver only appears twice. So you can see Chuck has got a pole and an 8th. And then he's got an inside and an outside as well. So each driver appears twice in there. Now, if I wanted to do it differently and have each driver split my field of 12. Sorry, you can see that I'm just crossing these out. If I've made a mistake or want to do it, something happens and maybe he wants to drop to the row, you can drag the drivers around. Whatever you need to do, you can do that pretty easily. If you did what I said before with regard to, hey, that you want to do your own pill draw and you've used some other system or you've used a bingo ball machine or whatever, you also have the ability to put them in manually. So if I know that heat 1's going to have the 1, the 5, you can just click them through there, however you want to do that. If I go, whoops, I've actually grabbed him, he should be in this heat, that sort of thing. The only other thing with that though is what will happen is, for example, whoops, once I've clicked these guys in here, so if I'm going to say have just 2 heats and everyone's in it and I've done it manually, I can come to my second heat, but you can see they're all grayed out. The automatic setting on this is that their drivers can only appear in 1 race. So you just want to change that to multiple races and you can see now they're all available for me to select again. So that's just one of those little tricks that you want to remember. So the other thing I'm just going to show you is if we wanted to do a different format where we were splitting, we had 12 cars, we only want 6 in each heat. And come back to my races and just, if we've changed our format, for example, and gone, yep, you know what, we're actually going to have 4 heats tonight, I can simply add that. And that's how easy it is to get that 4th heat added in. Make sure you save it. And then I come back to my lineups here. And now I have the ability to use some of my other lineups as well. So if I hit calculate lineups again, and we've called, I mean, at the moment it says speed cars and late models, but that's essentially the staggered and non-staggered. So for example, if I wanted to do the non-staggered, I could click on that hit the calculate button, and you've got the grid draws there. So you can see you've got inside will go to the outside. So the 629 will invert. So it switches the lanes and inverts them like a lot of our standard formats here in Australia. So you get the inside and outside, inside and outside. Again, if people want to see how it was calculated. So as I said, this one's done on the non-staggered. So the top, the lowest 6 pill drawer in the first heat, the highest in the next one, and then that invert. However, if you wanted to do it staggered, you can come back here, find your speed car one, okay, because it says staggered, hit calculate, and you've got the options. So now if I click on that, you can see that it's going to be the first one, third one, fifth one, 7 one, 9, 11. So there's a heap of different ways you can calculate your lineups. This is what, as I said, I would suggest you go through and have a look at all those different lineups, what you've got there. And if there's something that you need that's not in there, again, it's about reaching out to us and making sure that we can probably work together and find a way to make it work. We've still got a few other formats we want to build in for Australia, so that's something we're working on. All right. I do want to show you a couple more things with lineups, but I'm just going to stop sharing I'll share it in a sec. So basically we've talked about the setup, the entries, the races, and the lineups. So this means that everything is now ready. It's all live on the app. Everything's now ready for us to import it into our actual system, timing system. Now, as I said, I didn't create the sprint cars heat grids yet because we're going to set those off qualifying, and that again, you might have the for that you might have, you know, your fastest qualifiers to the front. You might do 2 rounds of heats. You might have an invert. All those things can be done. So just the invert one, for example. Now, obviously these are calculated, but if I wanted to invert cars, you can hit invert and 4, and it's just going to see it's just automatically inverted them. Okay, so you've got the ability to do those sorts of things as well. Same as if you wanted to do that for the feature. You can, say you had high points to the front and you're going to invert the top 8. You just go line up and invert an 8, and it'll automatically do that for you. So that's your, Braggsy.
Yeah, we just had a question in the comment about can you nominate how many cars are inverted? So I think you just
perfect.
Just covered that one in perfect timing. So just let you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, generally, you probably wouldn't have it done for this sort of format for the juniors, but for the sprint cars, for example, if you were doing it, the heats from qualifying and you're inverting them, yeah, absolutely. And the same when you're doing your feature lineup, which I'll sort of model a little bit shortly for you. You'd be able to do that. So we've done the setup, we've done the entries, done the races and the lineup. So essentially your timing system's all ready to go as well. That's where we come back to this MRP live button. So I won't save that one. So up here, now this is the announcer audio. So you've got the ability to connect for your audio, the live audio that goes through the app as well. I won't go into that, but that's just where you've got an ability there. This is the MRP live connection code. So all you're going to do is hit that and copy it, and you're going to open up your MRP live app. So you can obviously click on these links to make sure you've got that. What that's going to do is bring up this window here. So it's a little app that sits on the desktop of your computer, much like some of the other ones. These are the IP address and port from your Orbit system. Obviously, we're using Orbits, and all I'm going to do is paste in that connection code there. When you've set this will all be set up so that you've got the ability to connect and also download things from your computer. That's the location on your computer where you download it and import it in. And then I'm going to hit connect. Okay. Now, I don't have Orbits on this computer, so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm actually going to get Decoded to share his while I talk through the next bits, just because I haven't got Orbits on this particular computer. Excuse me. So, Dakota, are you good to share your screen? Yep, there we go. Alrighty, so if we've got the MRP live connection, I'll just get that screen open. So you can see Dakota's hit connect there, and you can see that it's successfully connected. The next thing you want to do is, so you obviously got the green at the top there. The next thing you want to do is be able to actually import all that information that you've created. So your setup stuff, your entries, your races, and your lineups. To do that, you hit the Get Lineups button, and you can see that when Dakota hit that, all that data has come through there. All right, so that means that's now on your computer at that file location that you've set up. On here, this is obviously you need to have an event set up first of all, so you just need to give it your name so you've got somewhere for it to go. And then you're going to go to your registration screen, and you can see on the left hand side it says you can import them there. So you're going to click on that, and you'll find the location on your computer where it is. The first thing you're going to import is your groups. And what that does, you can, if you click on each of those groups, you can see that all that data that I set up on the system is there. So you've got the nominations. Now, obviously, I didn't assign transponders for the junior competitors, but all the competitors are there. You've got the information as to what class they're in, their car number, and so on. Then you're going to go back to that same import button, and this time you're going to import the runs. Now, it's only going to import the runs that you've got lineups for. So that means that you're going to see the 4 heats of junior sedans there that we've got. And if you clicked on those 4 heats, you can see that the drivers are in there. Now, the cool thing about this is if you go to the timing screen and you have a look at just selecting one of those junior races, you can see down the bottom there in your timing screen, it's actually got the lineup there for you. So that means that places like Clay Per View, because they tap into the live timing, will be able to access that, and they can show that screen up on there. You know, they can share their lineup screens because they've got the data there already. Same with the hot laps and everything. All the lineups that you've created are already there. All right. Now, we're not going to go through the actual timing, but what I might get Dakota to do is just run the hot laps for the first group. And then I might share my screen to show what that looks like there. So Dakota's just going to run a sample run of that that hot laps group for me, and we can probably do both hot laps and the qualifying if we can, Dakota. So while Dakota's doing that, I'll start sharing my screen again. All right. All right, so I've just taken over for Dakota there. Now you can see on my screen here, because we've got the live timing connected, we actually have the ability to see what's happening here as well in the back end. Now this is pretty much what people will see on their app as well, but all that data is coming through here. So I can look at the gap. The announcers would be able to tap into that through the announcer tool here. So for example, if I clicked on the announcer screen, they'd be able to see what's coming up. They can click on an individual driver. They've got the ability to look at their profile. You can see that tonight's results are there. So you can see that where they started in hot laps or qualifying. So this is something cool for the announcers as well. Rightio. So once Dakota hits stop on that particular race, that's what sends the trigger for us to be able to import the results. So I'm going to click on my results screen here. And I'm hoping, have we hit stop on that, Dakota? So what will happen if all's going well there? All right, so there you go. So you can see what happens is once a race has been stopped, so once that red stop button's been pressed, that's the indicator that the data is ready to import. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. The fastest way is clicking on here because this is the latest pending one. So we click on that, and there you go. We've imported our Hot Laps Group 1 data there. You can see their times are all down the side. You can see how many they've advanced and not advanced and so on. Save it as completed, and that means as soon as you've done that, that result is now published. Everyone can see exactly what that is. If I wanted to do it differently, for example, if I wasn't running live timing and say that, if I wasn't running live timing and I wanted to just paste in what the heat result was, I can hit paste in text, and you've got a heap of different options to be able to import it. One of the ones I use is literally the car numbers. So this is where I might type in the exact car numbers of what's been racing, oops, all separated by a comma. And then hit import. And it pulls that data in for me, and I can manually put in a time how I want to, but however you want to do that particular part. The other thing I can do is, if I get rid of all that, oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button there. If I want, I can bring the data in there, connect it from the MRP Live, so that does the same thing. I can click on it here and import it. The only other thing I can do is if I wanted to export the data directly from Orbitz, I can create a folder from Orbitz and export that race, then upload that file here. That's the only way that DNFs and stuff will be automatically imported, or any relegations and things like that. So you've got the option to do that. If I import this race here and I wanted to relegate someone, for example, drop him back here, I can do that. He's been relegated 2 positions. You've got the ability to do your DNFs. He DNF'd, he didn't start, this guy was disqualified. We've got the option for black flag, but obviously in Australia we just use the DQ, and this is if they're not using passing points, which really isn't a thing that we do here in Australia as well. So if I need to do that, then I can hit save as complete, and what it's going to do is automatically adjust as well. So it'll drop that DQ down the bottom, then the DNS, and then the DNF there. So you can make sure they're all in the right order. But the process for doing that is exactly the same as it is for all of the actual events. Dakota, I'm not sure if you've done the qualifying, but if you could run those, do the qualifying for me, and then just run the 4 heats, Dakota.
So I did run qualifying already, so that'll be ready for you to import. And then very quickly, just to Milo's question there, effectively the way that it will happen, if say you had an incorrect transponder from a driver, when the first run is ran, absolutely yes, the transponder will be incorrect. You're going to see the traditional screen that you've always seen that pops up and asks you to assign that transponder to a competitor. Go ahead and do that. When you do that during the import process, so Scott, if you go ahead and click that MRP Live and choose the qualifying run, sorry, it is Hot Lap 2 that I ran, not qualifying. Yeah. Oh, you already imported it. Sorry. So during that import process, there is a checkbox at the bottom of the screen, and on the next import, I can have Scott look at that real quick. But that checkbox updates that transponder number to that driver. So in those cases, like personally, what I'm going to tell you to do is that when you get done with, say, qualifying, re-import all of your runs for that purpose. Generally speaking, if you take the time during the driver entry, driver registration process, you shouldn't really have a ton of those issues. But inevitably, people are going to make mistakes. That's life. Just do another import of the runs after, say, your qualifying and hot lap runs, just to make sure you've got the transponder numbers that are expected. That baseline there. And then I'll run qualifying here for you in just a second, Scott.
No problems. Let me know when that's done. The other thing, if that happens to me, like I had it happen just on Sunday at Ellenbrook, 2 of the junior drivers, one in New Stars, one in Top Stars, actually ended up, they had their own transponders, but they switched them for some unknown reason. So when they came across, I just obviously did the normal reassignment. And then because I'd already imported all the heats, I just changed the number in the registration section on the back end of there. So I didn't actually re-import. So you've got a couple of do that. So I would do that bit as well. So that's an option. All right. I'll just check, see if the chat, any other questions? Yeah, it will, Milo. So if you so Obviously, if you've completed races, it won't override that. As in, like, say you've done your 2 hot lap groups or whatever, it won't override that, but it'll re-import the stuff that you've done, or you can just delete them out if you want to and re-import.
Hey,
All right.
Scott, I just got a real quick question.
Yeah.
Back to the setting the heat race grids. If there's a uneven amount of cars, when you do the invert, the inside tends to stay on the inside, the outside tends to stay on the outside. It doesn't swap over.
Okay, so you're talking if you've got like a 7 car and you're inverting the whole 7.
Correct, yeah. For like the second round of heats,
Okay.
it tends to, the inside for the second round tends to stay on the inside, the outside tends to stay on the outside. It doesn't swap.
It should swap
Yeah,
over.
we found that last year. That's exactly what happens, and everyone burred up about it.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have done is that we built in a different one. So I'm just going to quickly do this one. Just bear with me. I'll get this set up because we should be able to show, and I'm pretty sure we fixed it. I hope we fixed it. Actually, maybe I'll just do our new stars. Actually, I should do our top stars. Just bear with me. I'm just going to pop these drivers in just so I can show you what it looks like. It'll take me a minute just because I haven't set these guys up. I should have set them up.
No, all good. No worries. Thank you.
I'm not sure, Bragsy or Dakota, if there's anything I've missed while I'm just setting this up.
Just very quickly, qualifying's ready for you there. Milo, I'm not 100% sure I understand the question about including passings. So when you do the import of the groups and runs, that is going to create or replace the file that was currently there. In theory, you should be doing that in between races, so there shouldn't be any passings for it to have any effect on. But and more specific on that, if you've got a kind of a scenario in your mind, just shoot an email over to support, and Scott and I can walk through it and try and verify that it will function the way you're thinking or hoping to see. Yeah,
So can I
passings on the
ask a
timing.
question? With the orbits, that's been, who runs that? Is that the track running that? Is it? Like if I'm doing a series, I don't run orbits. The track runs it. And so if the track isn't using MRP, I have to manually enter in the results. Is that what I've got to do?
If the track,
Toowoomba doesn't use it. That's our main track. So when we go there, they're not going to run orbits. So that means when I get a result, I'll have to go in and manually do the result. Is that right, Scott?
So Toowoomba does run orbits themselves. What it relies on is that if they're not using MRP, that's fine. If you can get them to actually just click into the live timing, it's no different to what you saw happening tonight. So, for example, I might have been setting it up and Dakota's running the timing, but I'm still able to import the results. So as long as they have connected the live timing, you'll be able to import the results.
Okay.
Now,
Right, yeah, beauty.
if you've got a track that doesn't want to connect to the timing, or they're not actually running live timing and they're just doing the manuals, the lap scoring, then you still have the ability to be able to sort that as well, if that makes sense. Like you can paste
I know what you mean. Yeah. So, so if they're running live timing, which in my case, Toowoomba will be running live timing for sure.
Yeah.
And so therefore I'll be able to get that result.
As long as they connect to the MRP live, so that little app that we showed you, as long as they connect.
And are they going to do that?
Look, Toowoomba have run it before. All it takes is just that little bit of organisation and just asking them, hey, can you run this for us? Most tracks have been pretty good about it.
They're pretty recalcitrant there at Toowoomba in anything to do with the MRP, as you well know. Anyway, that's all right.
Look, and they were quite willing to come on board down the track, I think. So, probably the more we do, the more likely it's going to happen there.
Yeah, okay. No worries.
So just coming
But
back,
if they didn't, I could just enter in those numbers like you did. I could just get the result and put them in there manually.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, that's all right.
So, and that way you'd be able to calculate, you'd be
Your
able to
heats and, I mean, your
Yeah.
finals, yeah?
All right, I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about now. We were talking about a complete invert. So I would be using one of these lineups because this is what we built in to do it. So if I click that one, for example, and I'm hoping this works. So you can see this is your inside, the 08, the 03, 01, 04. Now, obviously, the only thing that at the moment, if there's an odd number, it'll just shift that last car. But if you imagine that that's there, you can see that's done the complete invert for you. This is something that we're working on because obviously in Australia, we would say that if he had an inside in that first heat, which we can see there, it would go onto the right-hand side there like that, if you imagine that's how it looks. So I'm hoping that solves that issue that you guys were talking about. You just got to make sure.
Is that did you make that with, because we didn't have that one, did we? Invert was shifted forward.
It wasn't originally in there as in like a year ago, but we did add it in during the season. So what we'll make sure we do is it's currently in the all lineups button and it's down the bottom because it's recently added. But what we will do is to make sure it appears in your My Lineups, which is like the stuff that you really want to use. Just like what I showed you yesterday when you're looking at your managing divisions, if you hit lineup settings here, another window comes up and the way you calculate things, you can actually choose it. So for example, if I wanted to do, I'll just scroll, whoops, I can click onto my heats, for example. And if I want to do my, that's all in alphabetical order this time. I can't even remember what it was actually called. It was called, say, 2 rounds of heat lineup. So I would just click on 2 rounds of heat lineup, add that to favorites and hit save changes. All right. And now when I come to, so I'll just get rid of that. Now when I come to calculate it, see that's now there in my favorites. So it's just about making sure that we've got the right one in there, but that lineup is now there for you available. So that does that complete invert. And the same thing will happen if I had 4 heats, just like I showed you with the New Stars. So you can see that that inside line and outside line, so the 1, 8, 11 have been inverted onto the outside and so on. And
yep. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for that, Scott.
Easy. And again, if there's something that's not working, let us know because we want to make sure it is. And also it might just be that we haven't selected the right lineup or maybe we haven't got everything there. So I am aware we've just gone slightly over time. So I'll just try and rush through this last bit. If I'm coming, Bragsy.
Do you want, I know we're going over time, but just while you're on that screen, show them. Do you want to just quickly show them the 3 of 3 and the 2 of 3? It's like I say, they're both your items as well.
Yeah, that's what I did earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were the first 2 I did in the juniors. But if anyone wants me to show you that again, I'm happy to. Are we happy to keep going or do you want me to show you that again?
No, you're okay.
All right. So just coming back to what we were saying before, we've got our qualifying there. So I upload that in there. There's all my qualifying times. We've got our order there. We had 2 guys that didn't start there. What will happen is if they're in the lineup and they haven't actually run in that race, they'll automatically come through. So I might hit save as complete there and it's automatically going to pick up that there did not start. Okay. Now, obviously I'm not too worried about DNS and stuff in qualifying, but I can do that. And again, as I said, when you're importing it through the MRP Live, like I just did, you do need to add the DNS in yourself. Or if you need to, like say, for example, Bert Beadle was relegated because he didn't go to scales or whatever, you can manually do that. And the way around that would be when you finalize the result on Orbitz, you can actually export it off there and then import it on here. So there's a couple of different ways you can actually import those results. Just to show you quickly, as I said, we've got, now that we've finished qualifying, you'll notice that it automatically, if I go back to my lineups, it automatically goes back to the sprint cars because it goes, hey, we finished hot laps, finished qualifying, this is the next thing we need. I can now calculate my lineups and I might do it from my qualifying times. So I could, if they're just getting one heat, I can hit that. It's going to split them across the two. Now, if I want that to actually look like a heat race, I'm just changing the what. Oops. I've just realized what I've done. So in that setup screen, oh, did I click that? In that setup screen there, I should have changed that to 2. So 2 per row. So if I come back there, oh, what have I done there? I'm not sure what I've done there. Have I missed something there, Dakota? I'm not sure what I've...
I apologize. I was reading another email and I did not catch exactly what you did. What were you trying to accomplish?
Just the heats there. I wanted them to be side by side rather than just that one.
Go back to the races.
Yeah, go to the races tab here.
Oh, races. Yeah. So just here, drivers per row should be 2. Sorry about that. Had one of those mental blank moments. All right. So there we go. So that's our heat lineups down from qualifying, if that's the way you wanted to do it. Again, you can see how it was worked out. So this is the staggered, you know, so you got first in third, fourth, so first, third, fifth, and so on. So if that's the way you want to do that. Now, we were talking about inverts before. So if we knew that we were inverting our top 4, we can do that. And it's now got that invert there. If you wanted to do it differently, so if you were just going to have them all in, for example, you can do it that way. And you can see it's inverted the whole field. So here you've got your fastest qualifier. So that's going from the pill draws, but you've got also, I haven't added the right qualifying ones in, but you've got all sorts of ability to do whatever it is you need. And you can do whatever inverts you want to do. And then you would just keep going through with that. For the juniors, again, we obviously haven't done those runs just because we're running out of time. But what would happen is once those runs have been done and imported, we would literally hit A features, you'd hit calculate, and you get the one from your points there. You'd select your points that we built in. Again, the points are done through this here, and it just creates your feature lineup. And if you need to, you can invert it. So that's a summary of the results. I know I probably skipped over a couple of little things, but I'm aware of the time and I don't want to keep anyone too long, especially our East Coast friends, because I know it's getting a little bit later over there. The only other thing I will show you, and I'm just going to show you one that I've already done separately on our Motorplex account, just so you're aware of what's happening there. Whoops, gone to the wrong season. All right. Oh, I've clicked on the wrong thing again. Sorry, everyone. I'm getting a bit anxious to sort everything out, and I am clicking wrong buttons. There we go. So if I did that one there. All right. So this is the, oh, actually, I'll show you the lineups quickly. So if I'm looking at our Junior Formula 500s, for example, we had our heat lineups there. To calculate my feature, I'm going to hit calculate lineups, and you can see you've got the options here. I'm just going to click on that one. I relabeled that and I shouldn't have, but that's where done by points. So it does say passing points, but that's basically just your points. And then any tyres that broken by the best lap in heat races, hit calculate, choose what points you want to use. So I've got the Motorplex system in there, but I've got the SSA ones or late model points as well. And I can calculate that. And that's where this comes up. Again, I can click on how it was calculated, and there's my points there from the 3 races. So that's why they've lined up that way. What the results look like, you can see heat 1 there. So all the times have been imported, and I can actually do the timing overview and have a look at, you know, their best lap time and that sort of thing. All that data has been imported. got my feature, for example, all that data's there as well. Last thing I was just going to show you was the points at the end of the night. So once you've imported all your points in there, sorry, all your results in there, at the end of the night, if you're doing a track championship, literally to finish it up is you're going to hit, this will normally say calculate. Obviously it says recalculate because I've already done this, but you're going to hit calculate. It's going towards my track championship, and I can hit calculate because I've got my points set up in the settings up there later. Create that, and you can see this is the total for the event. So that's what they've got there. And then you can see the breakdown. So there's our feature race points, there's our heat race points, and that's how they're all worked out. This is also available on the once I publish, as soon as I've hit this, it also publishes the points to the general public. So it means that everyone will be able to see this breakdown. So if you don't want people to see your points, you won't be able to use that calculating thing because it's automatically set to that. And last night I ran through the different schedules. So if those junior 4 and 500s were running in both, I could have that selected, or I could change it to whichever one I want to. But that in a nutshell is the race management side of things. I have missed a couple of bits and pieces. Obviously, you've got the ability to have your lineup settings, which I showed you. You would set up your points here. So, for example, for championship, I've set up the Perth Motorplex points. So for anyone who doesn't start, you've got your feature points, as I was showing you there, heat race points. So they're all built in already. In the lineup points, we've got the SSA points built in because they're standard across Australia, the 36, 28, 23. So they're all built out. So all you just need to do is add them in. And to do that, you're just going to hit the add scheme button, select if it's for your, if it's for your one that we already know is there, the global sanction one. You can scroll right down and you can see the SSA one there. So you just select that and it'll make it there. You can obviously add your you can obviously add all your point schemes in there. So you've got your settings, so lineups, points, divisions, and things like that. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm not sure if I've missed anything, Dakota, Austin, Bragsy, and I'm not sure if there's any questions that I've missed.
2 seconds, Scott. Milo, that specific question there at the end, when you go back a lap, will MRP remove those deleted lap times? Can you please send me an email to support@myracepass.com, just outlining exactly the scenario that runs into? I want to verify and test that. It's really going to be based on what goes through the data feed. I believe there are circumstances where that will update, but I also believe there are circumstances where it potentially would not. And we could work towards finding a solution there. There also have been a few recent updates on MRP Live itself, and what messages we're reading in MRP Live, so that potentially is going to fix that as well. I just would like to do a little bit of verification before I say one way or another on that one.
Is that if a race is declared early, Milo? Is that what you mean? For example, like the leader crosses and then the rest of the field or whatever. That might be what we're talking about. Kate?
Yeah, it's Scott again, sorry. You probably covered this last night, but unfortunately we missed it. I just had a question about transponders quickly. We did have a discussion around potentially having another field for a local transponder number, i.e. 1 to 12 or 6J or whatever it might be. Was there any development on that?
That's something that I've been working with the team on. So it's not been done yet, but I know what you mean with that shortened transponder number. At this point, no. But something that hopefully we'll be able to get to. The end of the day, though, the more we encourage our people to get their own transponders, the easier it's going to be, easier for us.
Start charging $100 a meeting rental. It'll happen pretty quickly, I reckon.
Absolutely right. But yes, that's something we've spoken about before. Obviously, we've had a lot of things that we've had to get the team to develop. So, yeah, but we'll work on that.
I just got a quick question for Bragsy. I'm doing the timing at Sydney, Bragsy.
Yep. I have heard that.
Thank you. Are you able to reach out to them to see where they're at with their MRP account?
Yeah. Yep. I've been talking to Anthony there, and
Oh, you have? Excellent.
yeah, I've been
Okay,
talking
cool.
to Anthony there, and I think Dan might be on tonight. I think Dan was on last night as well, but yeah.
Okay.
I've been talking to him there.
Okay. No, awesome. Excellent.
But yeah, I'll be in touch with you as well. Anthony was telling me that you were doing the timing there, so I was just talking to him. I think last Friday. So,
Okay. Yep.
but I know. I think you're racing this weekend.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah,
there's a couple of other things I'll run by you too when I catch up with you as well. So.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
All right. Cool. Thanks, mate.
All right, Milo.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me now.
Yep.
Just to recap on what Bailey has reiterated. So basically, when you go back a lap and then you restart, so you know where like someone's spun out, you yellow, they haven't all completed, so you go back a lap. Now, if someone set a quick time in that lap that you've deleted, does that still come across through the Armon feed into MRP, or does MRP see that as those laps had been deleted and won't import that quickest time?
As
Go
far as
ahead
I'm,
and it's the Scott. Hold on a second. Yeah, Stephen, just go ahead and send that over like I asked for. That way I can verify it, because there are situations where that is going to happen, and there are situations where that's not going to happen, and I want to verify exactly what those situations are so we can follow up and let you know that. And again, there's a couple updates recently that are going to affect that specifically. So just go ahead and send that over. That way I can verify, and we can make sure that we're all on the same page on exactly what would happen there and which times it would happen.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
and Milo, I can just see the other question there about, yeah, obviously what I just showed you was if we're sorting the finals by points and quickest lap, that as I showed you, there's a heap of those lineups in there. So if there's other things you want to do for your features, you know, if they're coming from a dash or, you know, like a pole shuffle or something like that, you've got the ability to manually pop those in. But there's also heaps of lineups there. So if there's something, you have a look through those and have a play with them. Like on the sandbox that I mentioned last night. And if there's something in there that we haven't got, because we haven't got everything, like I know, you know, for example, the format we run for sprint cars at the Motorplex, where it comes from the inside line, outside line, it's something that we haven't got in there yet, but it doesn't mean we're not going to, because obviously we want to try and that's something we just continue building. I'm hoping that answers that question.
Yeah, mate. Yep.
Is there any, I know I whizzed through that last bit just because of time, we've gone well over time. I appreciate everyone staying on board for it. But is there anything else that we can help with at this point, just around race management? Bearing in mind that we are available, you can send an email to support@myracepass.com. You've obviously got Braggs in my email addresses, so you can reach out to us if we need to. And, you know, we're here to help. We want to help. We want to make sure things are successful. But if there's any urgent questions, happy to answer those now for you.
I think it's more so of a case of like you come across things that happen during the night. You're like, oh, I'll have to get more clarification on that. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's good that, you know, obviously you guys are contactable in Australia, and obviously you've got the American guys as well. So yeah, no, it's good. Yeah,
and the good thing is, you know, for example, if it's an Eastern States thing, usually, you know, like if it's the start of the night, Braggsy will be around, obviously, or I'm a couple of hours behind, so I might just be setting up, so I'll be available and so on. I think the thing is that, look, at the start, and even for me when I started using a couple of years ago, it was a bit overwhelming at the start, but it becomes really routine. You know, we've got a lot of guys here in WA using it. Is everything absolutely perfect? No, because it's never going to be. There's always going to be, as you said, there's going to be something that pops up. But if you persist with it, and, you know, the more you practice, the easier it gets, just like anything, really.
Well, I have to say that I have been using MRP now for a couple of years, and I basically got thrown in the deep end back in Sydney a couple of years ago, and I swear it is the greatest invention this sport has ever seen. Like, it is just, I swear by it. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I feel the same, because it's just so easy. And I love, you know, being able to sit at home and prepare things rather than having to go, you know, Motorplex has got their own computer, so I don't have to go in and actually set up, because it's all done at home. I love the what it does, you know, for our grid draws and how easy it is. For example, we've got a pit marshal at the Motorplex who's like 150 years old. We were able to set her up with a tablet, and she now just looks at that for the grids, and she races around, tells people where they are if they don't have the app. So, you know, the buy-in is really cool. So I really appreciate that feedback, though. Thank you. Yeah. All right. I know we've gone 20 minutes over time, and we're, you know, a lot of people come back for ticketing tomorrow. So we might call it there if everyone's happy. If there's any other questions, please feel free to email us, email the support at My Race Pass. And the good thing about that is what you've got access to a whole team of people. So depending on what time of the day it is, you know, if it's 2 o'clock our time, then probably someone in the USA will pick it up for you. But we've got a whole heap of people that can help you at any point. And obviously you can contact Braggs, you know, directly as well. But we want it to be successful. We want to help. So we're there, all of it. And we'll make sure that this gets emailed out to everyone. So if everyone's happy, we'll call it a night. And
probably the last thing I'll just probably say before we jump off from this race management stuff is if you've got a question at any stage and it's a slip of the mind, it's a 10-second question, you feel silly, they're the ones that sort of, they're the questions that ruin your night and things don't flow. Like, reach out. If it's, hey, I've just forgotten, what do I do here? Reach out, give the answer. Like, that's what we're here for. Like, don't feel like you're interrupting us or it's something silly. Like, they're actually the important ones. Reach out. If it's 5 minutes before you're about to go green, just reach out and we'll help you out where we can there. Anytime. Cool. I'll end the recording.